What has led to the decision of having this subject? Leadership has always been a challenge that we have observed. As much as leadership has also been an exciting thing, everyone wants to be a leader. But one of the fundamental things we've observed and we've seen is that in every aspect of life, in family, in institutions, in business, even in countries, we've seen the value of leaders and the need to continue to have the right leaders towards building the right systems and culture, whether in family, whether in business, and in every. And this is why this subject has been selected today. And I'm so excited to have a friend and a colleague, Mr. Abdul Damba, who is the country director of IDA Ghana. He's going to be sharing insight on this subject, and I'm excited to have him joining us. I'm going to also encourage everyone, and also we have a series of questions that we have put together for Mr. Damba to respond to, and intermittently, I'm going to also be checking to all participants to also ask their questions on Zoom or on WhatsApp. And when you have a question to ask, just unmute. I'll give the opportunity and you can have your questions asked. And we're going to also give room at the final sections for additional questions. We want to make this engaging. We want to make this interactive. Everyone mute your mic so that we don't distract ourselves, even as I invite Mr. Damba. Damba, please, I will appreciate you to introduce yourself, share a brief about your leadership journey till date. Thank you so much.
All right, so James, thank you so much. Yeah, so for inviting me here, it is actually like an important topic, one that I feel like all of us should have an opportunity to hear. Yeah, but before I start, I would also want to state that from a position of humility, I'm still like a man on the journey. Like there is still so much that I have to see. And so much of what I'm really going to be sharing is just going to be like stories, not about myself alone, but every team player who have really been working on with making it possible for us to embark on this journey. I have a background in actuarial science, specifically more statistics with a touch in contingency modeling. So typically someone with that background is mathematical in nature, looking at systems approach to issues and just thinking of what could happen tomorrow based on what is happening today. Thinking of the world not as something which is entirely defined, but one that can actually change in a second. And so like, and looking at how you can actually leverage on mathematics, statistics, and also like a systems way of thinking in approaching such a world. Basically, I had my formal engagement with Innovations for Poverty Action, which is a research-based non-governmental organization. Their approach is using randomized control methods in addressing developmental challenges. They would always challenge you that you cannot assume that what you are seeing is actually the issue. How do you use data to confirm that? And so after working with them for a number of years, in 2016, I took up a challenge with IDE to become the performance manager of the organization. I felt like it was really time for me to stop just crunching data, speaking about data, connecting with professors from Yale University and other places, and really practicalize data to change the lives of the people. And so like ID Ghana offered that unique opportunity on how I can actually leverage on data to explore market-based approaches in addressing developmental challenges. Started off as a performance manager, took up a role of elevated to data and system specialist. And in all of these, I was actually supporting their WASH effort and also their agric effort. And then before becoming the country manager, I also took up the role of a director of evidence and analytics. And in all of this, it was more around like, how do I leverage on my systems abilities to support teams migrate towards a data-driven management, where you are not just looking at what you do on day to day, but ensuring that what you do on that daily basis is actually in service of the bigger goal of the organization. And so basically, if I were to share like a brief story of my journey, that is actually what I would touch on: working with the right people, challenging people that it goes beyond the results. It is all about leveraging on the right team, building each other's capacity and supporting each other to achieve whatever you aim to achieve. And leadership in the last 4 years has actually been interesting and an exciting thing to think of, actually, like someone with systems and data now leading people and placing results at the center stage. So thank you so much. And I'm so excited to see that a lot of IDE staff are here and others from other places. I'm really happy to be connecting with all of you. So James, thanks so much, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Damba. And for our audience and participants, I have put together some structured questions here for Damba to respond to. And intermittently, we are also going to provide opportunities for you also to ask your questions. We want to make it engaging. We want to make it interactive. And please, you have an opportunity to ask your questions. We'll want to maximize time for the next 1 hour thereabout on this engagement, and we look forward to that. So my first question, Mr. Damba, it's you have shown high level of leadership, and one of the roles of leadership is to bring, leaders bring people together or around them so that they can deliver excellence. Based on the goals, the objectives, the strategies of the leader. So my first question is, you are currently the country director of ID Ghana with over 80 employees. How are you able to achieve an effective and high-performing team?
Yeah, that is an important question. Achieving an effective and high-performing team is actually like one thing I would say, like, it starts with defining the vision. I would say like the main role of a leader is to define the vision, giving people an opportunity to sit today and have a sense of how the future is going to look like. Whatever they're actually working on, your role as a leader is to really give them the vision. Once you connect them with the vision, I assure you that they are able to formulate the steps they would need to take to get to that vision. And at all the time, I tell my team that it's not okay to start your work understanding what you are expected to do. You really need to connect with why it is important to do it the way you are expected to do it. And so once you connect with the why, you are not only clear on what you are expected to do. So once you have clarity on why it is important to do it the way you are doing it, you are able to periodically inform yourself on when there is a need for you to pivot. Because the most important thing is, yes, you have the vision. You can't always assume that this is the path you are going to take. And so if you do not have clarity on where you are going, you can't even tell when it is time for you to make a turn. And so my role as a leader is always and I tell my team all the time that it is okay for you to say that I share so much information than for you to say that I give you less information. Because once I give you more information, it presents a unique opportunity for you to understand why it matters for you to do what you do. If you understand why it matters, you can actually connect back with me again to say that, you know what, Damba, this approach is wrong. Let's rather look at it this way. And that is what every leader is looking out for. Every leader celebrates that moment where people no longer take whatever he or she delivers to them, but people beginning to challenge it based on the updated knowledge they have. And so if you ask me again about what has actually worked for me it is first supporting the team to define the vision, connecting them to the why before the what, and then empowering them to think of the right approach, such that we are actually maximizing the results. And in all of these, I will always tell the team that the real deal at the end is not achieving the goal of the project, but also achieving the goal of the people part of the project. So if we can actually do it this time, the next time we should find a way to double down such that we can use about less than 50% of the initial effort to achieve even more value than we did. And so building the right structure, getting the right people, supporting them, define the vision, connecting them to the why before the what is one of the most like the key elements that has actually worked for me. And in all of these, building the right KPI, such that people really understand that, okay, this is what good looks like. And these are the things I will need to see in place to assume that things are really working. And James, you will attest to the fact that at ID, Salesforce is at the center stage, playing a critical role in WASH, coordinating our opportunities of serving over 18,000 customers with toilets, and also in a Greek from beginning till date, 20,000 households with food security needs. All of these being locked in Salesforce, giving anyone an opportunity to come back anytime in the future and be able to look into that information. So with that, a leader can sit from the office and assume, or like not just assume, touch and feel what is actually happening in the field. That is the data-driven approach, the transparency approach I see as very important in supporting me build a team and ensuring that we are actually monitoring the data in real-time basis. Having the right team to support in that is very critical. And I must say, like, I've really been so fortunate at ID Ghana to have the team with the right attitude, always willing to periodically fight or like celebrate where possible, fight when necessary, but have the clear intent at sight, serving the poor and not shifting the priority to us, but to the people that matters, changing the life of the poor. I think that is just some of the things I would say have really worked for me in my leadership. Results at the center stage, people playing a critical role, and systems playing the role it should play.
Thank you so much, Damba. I think from all that you've shared, there are salient informations I'm able to draw from. One is that you did mention the aspect of you having a clearer vision, not just the vision, but also the people behind the vision, because as leaders, people also play a critical role of driving the vision. And I did hear you say that even in terms of ensuring that people accomplish the objectives or the mission of the organization, you are also passionate about them also achieving their own personal goals. So I'll kind of see a level of an integration of people's desire towards accomplishing their goals that also aligns with the organization. And you also did mention about the aspect of systems. For people that are basic here or that may not understand so much of system, he mentioned about Salesforce. Salesforce is a performance measurement tool that is being used to measure performance. He mentioned about the culture, the integrity, and all of that. Now, just a quick follow-up question to that. Managing 80 people is not small. And I just want you to kind of double down on this. And the reason I'm repeating this question is there are a lot of people on these platforms that are not in the NGO network. They are not in the business network. I mean, they are startups. So how can they be able to also manage their teams? And I've had a lot of people coming back to me and sharing their concerns. I have people on this platform telling me that one of their challenges is to manage people. What do you do differently that has helped you to manage this team to the level of high performance? I have seen with you having it as basic as an office assistant performing at a very high level, an intern or a service personnel. What are the secrets that yourself and your team do to achieving all of this so that people here can also learn and adapt? Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, James, I would say that there are multiple organs in management. The leadership part is the people part. The organizational part is where you are beginning to compartmentalize activities and look at who are the right people to handle those. The planning part, very, very important. Like coming out with a structure of what is it that I need to do in the next 1 month? What is it that I need to do in the next 2 months? Giving yourself that opportunity to, what is the name, and properly state your different activities that should be in place is very, very important. And at any point in time, the most important question I ask is the control mechanism. What is it that we should do? And are we able to do it? And so if you look at all of this, you see that it is a team of about 80 members. But if you were to look at all the 80 members, a part of them under finance and operations. Another group falls under monitoring, evaluation, research, and learning. Another group falls under HR, and another group under programmatic activities. So once you begin to break them into their organs, then there is that opportunity for you to empower the right team members to lead that specific organs. And so instead of me engaging with all the 80 people, I need to make sure that I'm engaging with my direct reports, who are also empowered to drill down whatever we have to their teams. And my duty is to ensure that at least my direct reports are engaging at a transformational level, such that they are able to think at that highest level to bring down whatever are the needs to the operational level of the teams beneath them. And so, like, you look at a very bulk team, but your role as a leader at any point in time is to focus on your direct reports and set up the right KPIs, such that the performance of those under them is feeding up into those KPIs. And my duty is not to really care so much about the day-to-day, but rather on what specifically do I need to be reporting on? What specifically does my directors need to be reporting on? How are each of them able to achieve that? And if they are not achieving it at the base, how does it send a feedback to me at my level in terms of how I engage with them? And so first level is about breaking it, creating the right hierarchy, organizing the team such that there is actually like an effective flow of value across the team, and setting the team such that even at the lower level, they are all having the right support to do their work. And in all of this, the other thing, James, that is so important is culture, right? Because the execution of an organization sits within culture, right? Our strategy has to do with our competence, our ability to pick a paper, to gather great people in a room, get them to think of ways which are novel. They come up with the idea. That is the first level. Sylvester will say that it's not the jet, but the fuel. But the true fuel, the jet is not going to move unless you actually put in fuel and turn the engine. And so the culture of the organization is actually how do you have the right people in place to ensure that people are actually acting? And if someone is not really doing what they should do, how do you ensure that they are actually flagged up for you to see? And James, to let you know that also, like, the systems really play an important role. And so once you join ID, automatically you get onto our electronic platforms where your performance at any point in time, I can drill down to your performance to speak to, okay, you were supposed to achieve this. Are you actually achieving that? That is the programmatic team. For the other teams, I would have to put in the right system to ensure that they are being evaluated periodically, not just to flag their issues, but to use it as a support medium for them to continually improve. And so if I were to really summarize everything I've said here, is the systems aspect play a role, organizing your team so that the right professionals are found within the same team and coordinating across team is critical, and putting the right culture, say that people are really on board with the aspirations of the organization and willing to provide the support. But for you to actually also do all of this and to achieve it well, you should also be willing to take the tough decisions. When things are not going right, how do you ensure that you are not relegating the project objectives at the expense of because of relationship. All of these are some of the dynamics we put in place to ensure that everyone is on board, aligning with the culture and serving in the best way possible.
Thank you so much. And I know probably the audience and participants also may want to have questions, but we'll come to you shortly. And please, we have also the chat box. You can drop your questions as much as we can on the Zoom platforms. Please drop your questions on the chat box. And Damba, thank you so much again. My follow-up question on this, I think you've also addressed that, which I put here, looking at discipline, people, and culture and systems. I was asking, I did mention that what are your core values that guide your leadership styles towards building a disciplined culture and effective systems in your staff, resulting in increased productivity and value to the organization. Now, you've shared all of that, and just be mindful of time also because we have so much of question. I just want to understand, has there been a time where, everybody will tell you that organizations do have cultures, organizations do have systems, but it is the will behind the culture, what drives the culture, and sometimes this has to be like a top-down. How has yourself and your leadership team, what have you been able to put together to ensure that the culture of the organization has been, and the system of the organization has been kind of being applied or followed through to the level that is not just about having the culture, but people understand what is required of them, that there are, as much as we don't want to encourage disciplinary actions, but we want to set people towards success. So how has the culture helped towards setting your team towards achieving increased productivity? What have you done special, maybe using from your HR, from your, and you may not need to go to that level of in detail, but just at a high level of how you've been able to achieve productivity using disciplined people and culture in place. Thank you.
Okay, so James, I think specifically on culture, we are so really fortunate that ID really came out with a list of values which actually unite us as a team. And I always tell my team that we have to use it as a cardinal point to guide our pathway and also a reference point to get us back on track if we actually miss the way, right? ID defines our culture in a way that we say our results is a function of our attitude, competence, and execution. And I really pay so much attention to attitude. Because for me, I always believe that with the right attitude, you can build any competence. With the right attitude, you can actually execute anything. With the right attitude, you can wake up tomorrow and you're actually a pilot. With the right attitude, you don't even need to be an engineer to do what engineers do. You just need to get on board, learn what matters, and then you can actually do whatever you are supposed to do. And so for me, what has really worked at ID for us is in culture, really to support culture. I call it the 3Ds. First, you have to define the culture. Like, we really need to give people an opportunity to understand the values that matter. And as a leader, you need to also demonstrate that culture. You cannot actually ask people to respect each other when you don't respect them. And so it is so common for them. There is a saying that our actions are so loud that people don't hear what we say. I cannot ask that one of our unique culture should be respect when I don't respect people. And so as leaders, our duty is to define the culture. Secondly, to demonstrate that culture. And thirdly, to demand it from everyone within the organization. And so once you are able to achieve, if I don't demonstrate the culture, then I have no rights. Then I lack integrity if I want others to demonstrate same. And so if you see that when it is time to work, Damba is also staying back in the office and doing what is expected of Damba. When it is time to work, Damba is not actually seeing himself as a country director. Damba is taking that phone call and calling to check on you on is everything going on well? What support do you need from me? That is the best way I can actually express that we belong in the community, and in that community, there isn't one person and another group. And so these are the ways I need to define, I need to demonstrate, and thirdly, I need to demand. And so at this stage, there has been instances where like I see something not happening well, and instead of being the one to speak to the person who is not doing it well, I look within their network to see who else should speak to them. Because when you as a leader is always the one who gets people to fix what is not right, then you have actually created a culture you own. But it is a culture that is supposed to guide every one of us. And so if you see something you should correct, you don't need to bring it to me. You should definitely be the one to support in correcting that, because we are actually engaging in a space of shared values, shared beliefs, and using it as a basis to inform how we should engage with each other. So basically, I would say like that is the most important thing for me, which has really worked well. And just to touch on a basic thing before I saw that there was actually a hand.
Yeah.
ID had like its values, and I actually condensed it into Ubuntu. Ubuntu, a South African word. James, I think we have said, myself and you would have touched it a number of times. What I care about that, it speaks about being in a team, but not being an individual, right? And then just to summarize what it says that I am because you are. A person is a person through other people. I cannot be the best that I can be till you are the best that you can be. How good you are does not threaten me, because the better you are, the better that I can be. And so like once you understand this, you should know that your growth, your opportunity to get better is what excites me, because it grows the team and gives me an opportunity to express my best ever form of my abilities. So basically, that is part of the things I would say has really worked so well for us. Yeah, giving you back the space. And please let me know if I'm actually going so deep.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much. I am looking at the time. There is so much question, and I'm seeing people raising hands. I've also seen a question on the chat box. But let me quickly ask you this question, and maybe you can respond to that quickly. What do you do to hold yourself accountable to your personal goals and development journey? And the reason I'm asking this question is, now I'm bringing it down to you as a person now, because as leaders, you know, a lot of people look up onto us, and I just want to understand, what have you been able to do to hold yourself accountable? What have you been able to do to develop your own personal goals and development journey? And that might also be helpful for other leaders and aspiring leaders here to also learn.
Okay. All right. So, James, there was a quote I saw online which says, be a reader today and a leader tomorrow. You have to read today to lead tomorrow, right? And so you would see that as a leader, you are going to have like so much to deal with, because you are juggling with your personal life, the goals of the organization, and also and other aspects of just being a leader. And so like you really need to begin to define clearly what really matters to you. You need to really pay so much attention on building clarity on who you are, what you care so much about, and how you can actually achieve those ones. And just even understanding who you are and what you care about is not enough. You really need to build the necessity to achieve that. You really need to remind yourself that why is it important for me to get what I care about? And those are the things which are actually going to challenge you to transition from just being motivated to being determined. Like an example, I have like averagely, I would do like more than 2 hours learning every day. I'm just actually even being like, just being considerate here is averagely more than that. I do that in between, like in the morning as early as 4 o'clock, I am up. By that period, I will use like the first 20 minutes to shape up how the entire day is going to look like, right? I would have had a sense of, okay, during the time I'm going to the office, I should call this person for us to speak about this. I should do this in the office. I will shape out the entire day that early morning. Afterwards, I go to have my morning prayers, then take off either on my bike or on foot. And as I do that, I'm not only using that as a medium to only exercise. If I'm moving, I have like an audio system plugged in my ears, and I should aim to at least listen to like a personal development, a personal growth. It can be on any topic, but I should actually invest about an hour on it. And so, and in my car, unless like I'm moving with someone, it is typically just going to be like something that actually I used to learn. And after work, in between work, if there is a small space, I really am not working or not, what is the name, listening to a funny video, I am also going to be spending that on other learnings. After work, I also allocate some time to make sure like I'm able to achieve whatever goal I set for myself, specifically on learning or reading. Aside from that, as a student of life, you just have to make sure that you are learning from everybody, right? From people's status. If your status is a status where you always share like some positive information, you are always going to see me on your status, like typing your name and moving to your status, taking pictures of it, and using what I saw on your status as a way to also share with others. That is personally how I would do it. Aside from that, I also try as much as possible for my specific direct leadership to understand what specifically they will need from me, and also give them the space to move as much as possible. That is the personal development and the work-related side. From the family side, like I do all of this and I still ensure that my family is not left behind. I still have to find time every day after work to spend some time with my wife and the kids before they go to bed. And then possibly if I'm not going out on an exercise in the morning, I connect with them. Or on weekends, we still spend that quality time just for me to make sure that nothing is actually left behind. And so the relationship part, you need to care about it. The health part, you need to care about it. And also the goals and aspirations of the organizations should all be taken care of. So that is the tripod upon which I juggle myself, my relationship, my health, and also the aspirational aspect of the organization. So yeah, basically
Okay,
that.
yeah. Thank you so much, Damba. And I'm now going to the questions from the audience. But I know you are a very good book reader. You read a lot. Can you just give us how many books have you read this year? And even in the midst of your busy schedules.
So actually this year, I've already read over 60 books.
Sorry?
Over 60 books. And then
please, how do you do it?
Yeah, so I was telling you that so right now part of what I do is I now also have like, okay, so it's actually not my account. I've actually been patching the account of one of the vice president of ID, John Choptiani. He has an account with Audible. And so like I listen to, with Audible, I'm able to do like a book within a week, I should be able to read a book instead of like, because the book comes with an ordinary speed of 1, I can actually move the speed to somewhere around 1.5. And the good thing about reading books are it gets to a point where like the next book we are going to read is already connecting to another level somewhere. So because of that, the effort someone from the beginning will have to put in, you are actually putting a quarter of that effort, because you are really just picking the gaps in your already existing knowledge. And so like, even with the number of books I indicated, is because I've really made a conscious effort for the last quarter not to read any new book. I'm just revising the outstanding books I read this year, which I felt like were really so important. I want to pick real practical value from those books. I've got refresh those books. So like for the rest of the year, I don't have any new book to read. I'm only selecting the most essential books and going back to scan like what are some important things I need to pick from there into 2025. So like systematizing everything and not just enjoying the number of books you read, but also like being a philomath, enjoying even the process of reading is really important, or else reading becomes like something challenging. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So we have a lot of questions that I have seen already. So let me take the first question. I see the first question comes from Desire, and he says, "Dear sir, leaders are known to have authority and power. When a leader is using his or her power to advance their own purpose selfishly or influence people wrongly, which may affect the reputation of the organization, what should I do? If I am aware of it, can I report the leader to higher superior by letting them know about this, or just keep quiet and allow the leader have his way, which may probably destroy the organization or system?" Wow.
Great. I say like, if you keep quiet, then you are just a follower of the leader, right? The role of a leader is not actually to create followers. So a follower is someone who will just do what the leader says. But as a leader, your role is actually to define the values of, like to define the vision of the organization, and then support the team on that journey towards that vision. And so at any point in time, if the leader is also doing anything that is contradicting the vision, then you really need to call out the leader. And that is a people space. Firstly, you would have to look at the posture of the leader, right? If a leader is humble enough to take feedback, then I think like you can actually walk to that leader, to engage that leader. If you feel that the leader is going to actually approach it from a position of arrogance, like if the leader sees the world as he sees it and would actually bring his personality at the forefront of the issue, then you definitely will have to look at, is there other people even within the organization if whom you can also engage to speak to the leader? If that is not possible, then you just have to look at who is the next person within the hierarchy and try to engage that person. So the most important thing is, if you are engaging with good intent, like that is all that matters. I always tell that when someone is doing something wrong, the person also knows it is wrong. And the person knows that someday the right people are going to stand up and speak out. And so what the person doesn't know is when that is going to happen. So when you finally speak out, the person will be like, okay, I knew this day would come. I never knew it would come that soon. And sometimes when you do that, you also help the leader to actually get back to that space, because sometimes you might also be reading the leader wrong. And so like your ability to engage will give you an opportunity to see a perspective which you never had an opportunity to see. But if it also presents itself as a challenge, definitely you have to speak out. If you are in an organization where like the leader would have the opportunity to do whatever they want to do and go free, like you cannot engage them to correct themselves, there is no other mediums to engage another person, then I think the culture of the organization is risky and it's just a matter of time. The entire system would be broken. And so any support you can actually provide to the system, I definitely recommend you do that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, I've seen Boomski.
Yes. Thank you so much for the insightful teaching. My question is, sir, I learned recently that sustainable leadership is a product of good character, and character makes a leader worth following. Should I follow and emulate a leader just for achieving good results and ignore their bad characters?
That is a very good one. Yeah, so character sits within the values of an organization. a leader that lacks integrity cannot actually deliver on the goals of the organization, because our integrity is our ability to align with the values of an organization. And so, like, if the leader is not actually delivers the results, but is actually breaking the people aspect of your work, it's just a matter of time, the system will still crash. And so, like, the most important thing you have to know is there are 3 dimensions in measuring success, right? The results part of the success is one of the aspects of our success. There is the relationship part of the success, which is we are always challenged that as a team, you don't have to deliver results at the expense of the people, right? It's like they call it a golden handcuff, where like, okay, you are delivering a resource. So like you have gold in your hands, but the gold is actually used to handcuff you. You are not really benefiting in any way from it. You can't, yeah, if they ask anywhere, you have a gold, but are you benefiting from that gold? No, it is actually used to, what is the name, restrict you. So what I will say is, if a leader is not aligning with the right values, lacks integrity, and doing everything that is compromising the cultural aspect of the organization, whatever results you are actually seeing is not actually built on the right foundation. It's just the matter of it is going to crash. And so, like, it is up to you to still remind the leader that, yes, we are actually achieving these results, but these results and the organization is going to have an expiry date if we continue on the journey we are actually speaking about. You say this because there are certain aspects of the leader which is not aligning with your personal value. And so, and when we look at working in a team, we are not saying that you should sacrifice your personal aspirations or values to serve a team. We are saying that you should leverage on your personal values to contribute your quota in a team that generates the best of results, right? An example is if an organization sells cocaine as one of its background activities to generate more income, are you still going to celebrate it as revenue? Are you still going to celebrate it? No. So like if the culture is not right and you are still generating results, it's like selling cocaine. You are making more revenue today, but over time you will be jailed. And so that is the same thing as such an organization. Yes, the results is important, but you still have to flag the challenges of the leader to be fixed, or else you are going to generate results and give up yourself or your personal aspiration in service of the organization. And you have seen like people leaving organizations because of mental health challenges, people feeling mentally stressed, people feeling physically broken, just because, yes, they are pushed to achieve the results, but they are not actually achieving it on the values which are right, because the leader leads the way, and the leader should have demonstrate the right credibility and integrity to continue to serve the organization. So sustainable leadership is not possible if the people aspect of the organization is not right. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Damba. I mean, you kind of devolved this question, and I deeply appreciate the person that asked this, because this is one of the fundamental challenge we see in leadership, where people are just after results. People are not after the process to the results. People are not after, just like you said, the foundation that leads to the result. And my concern at this moment is that we are having a lot of young people on this platform that are aspiring and they are emerging leaders. And sometimes these individuals don't care. They are just after, the salaries, they are after the money, and they just want a leader that offers them those opportunities without looking at those critical aspects in terms of the character of the person, the processes, and even in terms of the businesses that is being done. Is there an ethical business and all of that? Now, assuming one finds himself in a situation where such exists, how are you able to, should the staff leave the organization, or What can an individual do? Let's assume I find myself within an organization that, they are just after result, and I know, or I have privileged information that some of these results are fraudulent, they are through wrongdoings, unethical things. Should I just keep quiet? And that also brings us back to the question from Desire. Or should I confront the leaders, or should I just pack my load, resign from the organization, and move elsewhere? Because these are the challenges that people face on a daily basis. Thank you.
Okay, so firstly, you are going to approach it from a cultural part, right? I was saying so culture is a system of shared beliefs and values, and also shared norms. And so firstly, you have to ask yourself, okay, this is what is going on in the organization, which doesn't actually sound very right. Are the majority of the people in the organization on board with the way things are going? Or is it that they all wish things were different, but they can't actually speak out? If it is the case that a lot of people are actually on board with the way things are going, and there is so much incentives for most of the people to leave it as it is, then you have to look within the organization to explore the channels of initiating the process of fixing it. Because people leave the organization when they begin to give up on their leader and even the people at the top of their leader, right? If I bring a situation to you, if I see something which is not right with James, then I take it to James' supervisor, and James' supervisor gloss over it, and I know that these things are real. Then it is actually communicating to me that this is actually, I am rather the odd person in that system, because our culture is not what we have written on paper. Our culture is what we are practicalizing on the ground. And so if you begin to understand that, okay, the challenges are deep-rooted, it cannot be fixed today or tomorrow, then what you definitely might have to do is to make a decision to move. But where there is an opportunity that, okay, a significant percentage of the people are not satisfied with what is happening, then you stand a good opportunity of actually elevating the challenge with an interest of fixing the key people who are actually causing the challenge. And James, I think myself and you in the past have looked at the 80-20 rule, where 80% of your issues are coming from 20% of the people. So all you need to understand is find that 20%, address the challenge, and you can solve 80% of the issue. And so how are you really able to ensure that the right thing needs to be done? And it also takes courage as a team member, to sometimes to be willing to be vulnerable, to take up an important issue forward. There has been instances where we've all been challenged to do that, where okay, you provide the support within, and then you actually push to elevate that issue, such that the leader or the people who have those issues could be supported. But once you create a situation where because this is coming from my boss, I cannot report it, it is going to be the case of there is nothing like the hole is at your side of the ship. If the water enters in the ship, we are all going down. And so if you assume that, okay, it is my boss, I don't have anything to do with it. If that is a hole which is bringing water into the ship, please fix it, even if it means that it is going to actually affect your relationship to some extent. It is up to you to still work on fixing that. So I would say explore the channels within the organization, but where it is deep-rooted, you can still stay in the organization, but make that conscious effort to exit yourself.
Thank you so much, Damba. We have a lot of questions on the chat box. Bode Thomas is asking, number one, I think that has been addressed, but I will just ask the question again, and maybe you can touch it briefly. So he asks about 4 questions. If it's okay, I can take all of them just for the sake of time. He said, as a country director, how are you able to manage time? Then number 2, as a leader, how do you handle underperforming staffs within the organization? Then number 3, what are the challenges you face when you take up your present role, and how do you overcome them? Do you want me to take the number 4, or we can pause for now?
Okay, all right. So firstly, I think time management I indicated. So break it. The tripod upon which I manage my time is health. Because as a leader, if you don't take your time, your health is going to take a backseat, and that is going to be challenging. Health. The next one is relationship. Paying attention, like you have to articulate the different relationships you have, like your workplace relationship, your family, and also your friends. How are you ensuring that you are still allocating some time and being intentional about all of these to your work? Because the relationship part also play an important role in your management. There are going to be some challenges you need to actually discuss with other members to get a sense of how to approach it. And the third part is the goal of the organization, paying attention to all of these and making sure the right people are in place is really, really, really important. Managing your time well, putting in the right systems, the right calendars, and other things are all extremely important. Continually updating your team's ability to do more so that you only supervise less is also an important piece. Okay, how do I deal with underperformance within the organization? So when I have such a situation, I try to break it. I evaluate it under the 3 key letters I mentioned earlier. Is it an issue of attitude? If it is an issue of attitude, I really mostly would come very hard because attitude destroys everything. If it is a thing of competence, then I have to evaluate like what specifically is missing in that person, such that the person cannot actually achieve. If there is an opportunity for me to support the person, I do that. Or get the right people to support. If it is a thing of execution, it also has a link to attitude again. If the person doesn't actually put in the right executive skills, then I have to actually challenge the person, look at the right tools to support the person. But where it continues, then I have to explore either PIP, that is performance improvement plan. I need to do one-on-one engagement with the person or with the direct report of the person. But in the worst case scenario, I would have to make the right decision, unfortunately, of letting the person go. Because I always remind myself that it is when you are short-sighted, you actually overdwell on the relationship at the expense of the other aspect of the. So like making a long-term decision could mean that taking that hard pill of letting people go if unfortunately they don't align with their culture. But before then, you have to provide the right supportive structures to see how you can actually help the person improve. What challenges what are challenges you face when you take up your present role, and how do you overcome them? So James, here, maybe one of the stories I could give is when I was given the role of a country manager, then everyone across the globe was celebrating me. Liz, the CEO of ID, sent me a book, and the title of the book was "What Got You Here Will Not Get You There." And so, like, as soon as she sent it, she told me that she booked a meeting for myself and her to to discuss it. And any of you can actually Google that book. What got you here will not get you there. And all she wanted me to understand is, yes, you have achieved this success. You've been able to challenge yourself to become a country manager. And your next level is going to be, it will require you to put in new inputs. And your ability to do that is really, really important. And so my assignment for the first time was, as a country manager, how do I actually support the team, such that the team grows and I also become a country director? And then getting on board after the team had gone through like series of transitions and also like a lot of challenges within the organization, running on limited budget. We were able, like James yourself included, and other directors, and also the entire team, were able to challenge ourselves, working across, like, I would say that time we really did not have like even like time limits.
Yeah.
You would do whatever you need to do. Sometimes it can actually be so tough that we move away without even speaking with each other for a day. but still understanding that we have built that resilient relationship such that we will push each other hard, but we will understand that we are doing it for the organization. And so like dealing with challenges, leadership is a lonely thing. People interpret things the way they see it. And people mostly think that you are just dealing with only them. And so like they can actually assume that they are just in a personal relationship with you and everything you are doing is just primarily for their effect. So your ability to always provide the right support and then assume that other things will fall in place is really, really important. But God really plays an essential role in leadership. When you are leading, God's hand is also very, very important in supporting you navigate some challenges. It comes magically. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Damba. We are really running out of time, but we still have about 30 minutes and there are so much of questions. I still have my own questions also. So let me take this other one also. This is from Monica, and she's asking that, good evening, sir. As a newly appointed headmistress, what should I do to bring all teachers on board to achieve the core mandate of education in primary school level?
Great. All right, so the first thing you will need to bring on board is to understand that you are dealing with a system. And a system is made up of the people, the processes, and the capabilities, right? And so like you need to actually outline like who do I actually have and what is each of them doing? The processes, how are things run here? And then the capabilities are individually, like as a collective institution, what is your capability and what specifically do you hope to change within the organization? Because if you don't have a vision, you can't actually, you are just going to step in and then start moving. It will fail. I would challenge you that please define your vision. Don't just assume that, okay, I've come to meet it this way, it is going to be that way. And one of the key challenges you are going to hear is, this is how we've always been doing it. And that is where the failure comes. And so they push you to that position where like, if they're already doing it that way, why should I worry about it? And take a step back, ask them if they were given an opportunity to redefine what success is, what would it be like? And once you're able to capture that as a value, then you ask them, what is the gap between that ideal world and the world we live in? And the difference between what you have and what you hope to have becomes the gap you want to work with your team to address. And so with your people, you can redefine what the processes would need to be, and to also understand that who needs to build what capability to be able to improve in what they are doing. If you jump on board and continue what everyone has always been doing, the same people will actually speak to the fact that, okay, this is just a placeholder. There hasn't been any change. Please set your vision. Like, let everyone feel your presence. Let them see something different and support them to achieve that. Pay attention to their personal development and then set some standards, or like whoever, like which other organizations you want to challenge that you guys get better than. Set that goals and then use that as a reference to achieve that. Yeah, basically that is just the thing I would say. Yeah, shift away entirely from this is how we've been doing it. It will not work for your leadership.
Thank you so much, Damba. So, and just to let everyone know, I mean, as I said, there are so much of questions, and time is not permitting us to provide much details to this. But Monica, please, if you further need clarity, Damba is available. We are available. We can always provide you more insight, but just be mindful of time. But I believe Damba has indicated some critical points. Your vision, you have to be, you know, he has said everything all. Your focus on the kind of teachers you even want. You must be intentional, and that's how to build it. There is also another follow-up, another question from Said. So it's almost like you guys are not even allowing me to ask my questions. There are, we may have to bring them back probably. So Saidu is asking, I am in a team where everyone is supposed to play a specific defined role. Some team members don't execute their role. What do I do as a leader?
All right, so Said, I'll tell you to go look for this tool. We call it work breakdown structure. So with work breakdown structure, you are able to break down your activities into, because sometimes the key challenge is when you actually approach issues as a wholesome package, it becomes like, it's just like a box, unbox it, and then begin to, what is the name, break it into different partitions. You begin to appreciate what specifically is every member expected to do and how can I actually track that. Basically, that is just how you are going to be able to achieve that. If you don't have like a clear view of your work breakdown structure, we have those people we call free riders. You are going to have people in the system who are not doing anything. Yeah, but you can't actually articulate their challenge because you don't have like any clear evidence of this is what they should have been doing, this is the results they should have been generating, and this is the gap in that resource. So Google it, work breakdown structure, and if you need further support on that, we can actually we can follow up to support you on that. But with that, you'll be able to break it into different parts and begin to hook every member within your team to a part of that part so that you can actually get everyone on board. Yeah, people who don't actually do much are also the trouble causers in an organization. They don't do much and then they would still, because they don't have much to do, they have so much time to talk about issues that doesn't even exist. Yeah. Find all means to get everyone to be doing something.
Yeah, I think there is also a question I have related to that. Probably, if time permits, I would ask that. There is okay. Desire was like shouting or screaming. The 60 books, yes, is possible. So Desire is asking another question, sir. How can a leader use the power of leverage and network of other professionals to achieve greater results, especially in the areas that they currently face challenges? Wow.
Great. Okay, that is also one thing I wanted to really stress here. So like as a leader, if you want to actually get to the top, you need to form your tribe. They call it a tribe, where like you list out people you aspire to be like, right? If you ask me of my tribe, you are going to see Miles Monroe, you are going to see Fred Kaufman, you are going to see Tony Robbins and others. And how you form your tribe is so like you are not going to, like almost every video of Miles Monroe, I have read it. I've watched it. Almost every video of Les Brown, I have watched it. And so as you continue to read about them and watch them, they are also going to be mentioning their key motivators. So for you to form your tribe, you are supposed to not only know them, but also read about their reference members. Like that is how like you build your culture, because they become like your originality. Like reading about Miles Monroe, knowing about Les Brown, knowing about Fred Kaufman and others present a unique opportunity for you to also carve your originality. An example, my clearer definition of how to formulate a purpose came from Miles Monroe. And so from Fred Kaufman, I learned how to effectively practicalize cause and effect. And so like once you begin to take note of all of these things and individuals, they help you to also build your own tribe, whom you are also going to use as a reference to create your originality. So you are not just going to pick one person and that is it. You are going to pick a number of them, read about them. They are going to reference some people in their books and videos. You follow through to those people. And that is how you also form your tribe for success. They call it tribe, your career tribe or something. You can create a tree of them where like you have these are my tribe that takes me on my path to where I want to be. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Damba. I mean, just to add a bit also on the aspect of the leverage and network, and like Damba said, for me also, I have, and if many that have been listening to this leadership section, you've heard me speaking a lot about John C. Maxwell. I'm still reading, so I'm at the final one of this, his book. This is like the 14th or 15th book. I've not gotten to Damba's level yet. But there are several books of John C. Maxwell, which falls within my culture, within my tribe. I follow Simon Sinek. I follow Rolf Kaufman. You see, Damba is following Fred Kaufman. I am following Rolf Kaufman. And Rolf Kaufman is a sales executive, one who believes in service excellence. I follow a lot of people also, and these people build us up. I mean, they challenge us. Now, that is the aspect of the leverage that we talk about. But there is also another aspect I want to quickly touch here. That please, let's understand, and I always share this even with my team, that if I have an opportunity to hire someone now, particularly in a managerial role, one of the things I am conscious of, and I know many leaders are conscious of, is when we are hiring people at this moment, we are not just looking at your knowledge bank only, but we are looking at you as an individual. What level of resources do you have? Who are the peoples within your network that you can leverage on? Because the people around you also play a critical value of adding value to you. And this is where many professionals were missing it. Many of our leaders were missing it, where we just feel we all want to solve the answers. We all want to fix the problem. But in many cases, and I've been telling, on this leadership platform, I think in the last section we had, that one of my secrets in success has been that I have leveraged on a lot of people's skills, because they are also a resource for me. And it has really, really helped me. I am one who, I am very, we all have our limitations, but I seek for help as quick as possible, because I understand that my network is my net worth. And because I understand that, I take very valuable, passion about it. Just to give an insight, yesterday I shared some personal development stuff that I am doing. I'm putting in the vision and mission statement to few people, including Damba, and one of them got back to me almost immediately and said, hey, this, because even at my level, I understand that I don't know it all. And I have to continue to rely on people. And that has been the secret of success. So, Desire, on this question, leveraging on people's network is key, is an asset. And we need to make use of it and not to shy away. When you are reaching out to people, don't feel that we are reaching out because you don't know. No, we just need to, it shows a level of honesty and the aspect that we cannot know everything. And there are people that are ahead of us. There are people that are even lower below us that may have a key strength in some areas. And we just need to show that courage to reach out to them. Thank you so much. I'm being mindful of time. I don't know, maybe Damba wants to add a bit, but there is also another question. This is from Dorcas. I don't know if it's a question. She says, great tips. Sitting as a leader with sustainable leadership is not possible if people just, okay, this is not question. Then Bumsky is asking, how can a leader build courage to challenge the status quo, to bring in positive strategies and impact to the organization? Then she also said, number 2, how can a leader address the fear of failing, which sometimes make them never to take any step or make bold decision? Thank you so much, from Omotola James.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let me start from the failing. Then, James, you might have to read back the first one again.
Yes, the first one is, how can a leader build courage?
Okay, courage, right?
To challenge status quo, to bring in positive strategies and impact to an organization.
Perfect. So one of the ways a leader can actually build courage is, as I indicated, if you can actually get your team to connect beyond what they are expected to do. If I bring everyone on this room and I tell you that, okay, this is what I want you to do, you don't even understand why you are doing it. And so you don't even understand it enough to be able to challenge it. So one of the best ways you can actually support your team to get better is really connecting them to the purpose, right? It's really, really, really very, very important to as an organization. And the leader or the leadership would also need to demonstrate their flexibility to make a change. If you actually present it as this is how it is, then you are going to have a situation where like no one will be willing to actually get closer to you. So let me give you an example. At ID, we have courage as one of our values. So which is already telling everyone that, you know what, we want you to step forward. And I always tell people that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is being willing to step forward even in the midst of your fear. So you don't need courage to do what you can already easily do. You need courage to walk past a lion. And so like, so your ability to step forward, even in the midst of fear, is what we define as courage. And the leader will need to take a lead to demonstrate to the team that, you know what, I trust you. I only see a part of the reality. You are on the ground. You see more than I do. I want you to always come to me. I challenge you that when you come, we will have our back and forth. And if it ends up that what you're actually presenting is the right way, we would really move forward with it. So the leader will need to demonstrate that first level, or else you are going to forcefully create that culture of fear where people are not going to be willing to share. And also with courage, the way you package the story is very, very important. You approach a leader and you let the leader understand that this is what I am thinking. This is why I am thinking of it. This is the value it is going to bring. And this is how it is going to even serve our purpose better than the way we are actually looking at it. When people begin to connect that, it goes beyond the ego of the person is likely to get on board with it. In terms of the failure, the best way you cannot innovate if you are afraid of failing. You cannot create if you are afraid of you have to build that culture where you stop stigmatizing failure. Failure is one of the unique ways you can learn. Agility is one of the values I care about as an individual. And you cannot be agile if you are afraid of failing, because you are actually saying that instead of thinking about something for a whole year, get onto it. If you fail, you learn faster enough to explore a new way of doing it. And so like one of the easiest way is to address that is to challenge people that I want you to step forward. When you fail, we are going to learn. And we are going to learn so fast that when we are going to go that channel again, we will know when to make a turn. And so like failure is actually one thing idea I would say like we celebrate, especially if it is actually something done on a good intent. If you don't fail, you can't learn, and through your learnings, you get better in doing what you can do. So failure should actually be a value we should all celebrate, not get complacent about, but something we should pay attention to. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Damba. I am now thinking either I should go through my questions or I should go through the audience questions. The questions are coming in just so much. Isaac, I noticed you have a question. You've been sending me chat on WhatsApp. Okay, so Isaac on WhatsApp, are you ready to ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, but you have to be a bit louder, Isaac. Thank you.
All right. My question is, as a leader, that has sacrificed a lot to lead your team, and you get the chance opportunity to build and become relevant in their career and business. Some among them don't value your contribution in their growth journey. What should you do? And will you stop building others because of the past experience you had?
Okay, Isaac, sorry, can you take the question one more time?
The question is, as a leader, that have sacrificed a lot to build your team,
okay,
and give them the best of the to grow and become relevant in their career and business. Some among them don't value your contribution in their growth journey. What should you do? Will you stop building others because of the past experience you had?
Okay, thank you. Damba, I hope you got the question.
Yes, I heard it. So Isaac's question is about when people under a leader doesn't actually some of them don't appreciate your role
Yes.
in the group, right?
Yes.
I would say
Yes.
I would say leadership is so a leader, I would say leadership is not an ego game, right? The right people will acknowledge you, right? And I was saying that leadership can actually be like a lonely journey because every member you engage with as a leader thinks that there are aspects of a relationship with you is the only reality you are dealing with. It takes someone with deep empathy, it takes someone with deep compassion to understand that maybe their aspect of their work with you is just like a 20% of the total viewpoint you have. And so because of that, you are really going to have those situations where some of the things you would have shared with people, which is actually enhancing their ability to get better in what they do, are seen as so natural. And so they don't even appreciate it enough to acknowledge your role in it. But the truth of the matter is, if they can get better in doing what they should do for the organization, then that truly is enough for you. Because in the end, I think I was telling you that leadership is a people business, but there is actually that God hand in it. And so in the end, your focus should really not be on how people should get on the platform and acknowledge your role. Your focus should be at any point in time is, let me do what I should do. The universe will handle the rest. And so that is why you are going to see that a leader can be lonely at a period because everyone thinks that, okay, this is how they were seeing it. Then over time, God will have a way of organizing things for the right things to get to you. And your role as a leader is to make sure you are giving people the right feeling. Either they communicate that back to you or not. It's really not an aspect you should worry so much about. Some are also going to have less of your benefit and promote it beyond what you delivered. And so it always cancel out. Whilst others will downplay your value, others will actually also exaggerate it. And if you are just doing it for the intent of growing the team, you shouldn't actually worry about the accolade. Things will fall in place.
Yeah. And thank you so much, Damba. And just to add that, I think one of the things I have continued to, and this is also an experience that I have had, is that great leaders are not celebrated leaders.
Yeah.
That's the fact. I mean, the reason great leaders are not celebrated is because we do not do the things people want. And most times what people want are things that destroys the organization. People want to take excuse from office. People want you to pat them when they do wrong. I mean, people want the easy way. And a leader that is thorough, a leader that is focused, would definitely not be a favorite of the people. Now, that doesn't mean the empathy aspect of the leader should not show forth. The empathy aspect is critical, but as a leader, I think one of the critical things also is that we've been having a free mindset. And if you listen to everything Damba has been saying, he has also bring in the aspect of God factor. You would also understand that as human nature, we don't satisfy God. People still get angry with God, even with everything God has done for us. So if people are angry with him, who is he, Damba or myself or any leader, that we feel that people have to like us? I mean, so we just need to continue to maintain our honesty, our objectivity as in decision making to the level that we are being balanced and people are not saying that we are providing or we are being sentimental in decision makings and all of that. That is what I just want to add to that. And Damba, there is another second question from Isaac, which I'll take then probably. And I'm looking at our time. Mostly we do close. We generally spend an hour and 30 minutes. And I still want us to respect that. So we would definitely have to have a second time for this engagement again, because we cannot exhaust all the questions. It's really been an engaging time. So Isaac is asking this question. We understand the value of integrity by a leader, Does integrity only makes a leader to succeed and become great, or does the leader requires other skills in addition to integrity? Wow.
Okay, so the leader integrity is just defining the values and aligning with the values of an organization. That is integrity. And so that is actually like one of the foundational needs of a leader, foundational need of an organization. That is the culture of an organization. But that is not enough for an organization to succeed. The leader need to actually get the right people who are competent enough and willing to execute well to move an organization forward. That is why you are going to see some leaders being like, okay, this leader was really a great person. He cared so much about the people, but unfortunately, he wasn't the right fit for the organization, because the organization's role is actually to deploy the right person to the right seat, right? So you might be the right person, but if you are not on the right seat, still you would have to, the organization would still need to get the right person to support the organization. And so just always note that integrity, as I indicated, is about values. What is it that the organization say they care about? Is the leadership or everybody in the organization aligning to that? That is just it. That is the people management, the relationship management, like the entity, the norms aspect of the organization. But what the organization delivers, which is the outcome of the organization, sits under competence. So having integrity is not enough. If you don't have integrity, you need integrity, because competence alone cannot also work, because the people need to be satisfied to be in a better community to serve. But also having like that beautiful community with no results is not also going to work. And so you definitely are looking at deploying the right person, that is a person with integrity, to the right seats, a person with the right competence to serve the organization. So integrity alone is not enough. You need competence, and then the competence and other elements to succeed as a leader.
Okay, we would have to stop at this moment. I mean, I'm receiving so much of questions, but I just want to thank everyone for our time and deeply also appreciate Damba's time. We would have to have another section, hopefully before the end of November. We would reschedule. I was hoping this would be our last section for the year. For those that are joining us, we generally meet once every 2 weeks, and on different subjects that has to do on career, on business, on investment. And for us, one of the things we always believe is that your professional growth is critical, your personal growth is critical, your financial and your family life is also critical. And we looked all subjects around these. And I just want to, before we wrap up, I just want to request for Damba's final thoughts, even though we are bringing him again, but just on this section, if he would want to share his final thoughts before we wrap up today.
Okay, all right. I guess, so first, James, thanks so much, and also for your electrified team for the engagement. It's really been like an exciting one. What I would end with is going back to the most important thing in leadership. Leadership is about getting the right people to do what they want to do. Leadership is not about compliance. Leadership is about commitment. With compliance, they have to do it because they do it because they have to do it. But with leadership, you are actually transitioning them to a point where they do it because they want to do it. And the only time they would want to do it is if they understand the value of what they do and how it serves a broader purpose. Yeah, so I am just saying that we are all leaders in our respective spaces. If you don't understand the why, then you are a follower. And when you are a follower, it becomes a stress to the leader. And then it automatically turns the leader to a boss. Because if the leader can't connect you to the why, then the leader will have to always tell you, do it this way, because they are fed up with always explaining themselves and not getting what they want. But no leader, typically a good leader shouldn't want to be a boss, because if you are a boss, you are just telling people what to do. You definitely want to lead. And by leading, you want people to understand what they do so that they can actually challenge you on. You are getting it wrong. And the best moment for a great leader is when people begin to say, no, you are not getting it right. This is how we should look at it. Any leader is always looking for that, because a leader doesn't actually come with some standard framework which is guiding all the ideas they share. Some of them are just coming from a late night bad thought or anything at all. So like it's not actually tried and tested. So your ability to challenge it gives the leader an opportunity to believe that they are actually moving in the right direction. Yeah, I thank all of you, and I'm definitely, like as James, you indicated, looking for that opportunity for us to connect again. And James, for specific follow-ups, we can also facilitate the process of getting it to the right people ahead of that time. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Damba. I deeply appreciate your time. I know how busy your schedule have been, and I don't take this time for granted. It's really been a great time having you on this platform and learning again. And I could see from the chat box, it's been so much of accolades and feedbacks from everyone appreciating the time. And I want to also thank everyone that is joining us today. We are going to have the recorded section shared tomorrow morning, Mozambique time. It will be shared. And for anyone that may have joined either through whatever contacts that you have, please reach out to them. You will definitely get the recorded section. This is a free live leadership section. And what is the objective? The objective for us is to build people to become great leaders and to impact our world positively. One of the fundamental challenges that we continue to have is bad leadership across board in churches and mosques, in every aspect. And not just building leaders, but also building ourselves as core professionals to maintain that level of excellence in everything we do. So I encourage us to continue to collaborate. This is a platform that we engage. We are very professional in our engagement, and you would have seen through that. And as much as even this is a free section, we are intentional on who joins, because we don't just want it to be any kind of people. And that's why even when the links are shared, we barely don't share the links until people show interest. And I want to deeply thank a lot of people that are joining us today for the first time. I'm having contact, a senior colleague who is currently in Sudan also was sending me a message that he also wants to join. And I just saw that message. A lot of people wanted to be part of this, but they couldn't. And for those that are joining us for the first time, I also really want to thank you and to let you know that we also have a WhatsApp platform. And the WhatsApp platform, it brings the same kind of mindset of people to that platform where we engage. We try to be as professional in that engagement level. We don't share personal issues. We don't even allow wrong messages to be shared on the platform. We try to be as disciplined as possible. And the reason is that we want to maintain a community and a network, which is part of the question like Desire asked, or, to build that leverage of a network where over time, in the next few years, we can always know that, okay, there is somebody in Mozambique that has been on James' leadership section, and I can always link up with. There is somebody in Ghana, there's somebody in Nigeria, there's somebody in UK, there's somebody in Angola, every part of the world that we can always. And this is a platform I think we can continue to collaborate, work, and engage. And I want to thank everyone for your time. And again, let's continue to connect. Let's continue to build ourselves and build excellence in all that we do. Thank you so much, Damba. Thank you to all the ID teams that have joined. Thank you to other people from different parts of the world, people in their business sector that have also joined. I want to believe this has really been an insightful time. Let's continue to connect. Let's continue to improve ourselves. Let's continue to create that platform that would enrich all of us. And thanks for now. Please, if you're interested to be part of the WhatsApp platform, just reach out to us. Reach out to anybody. You reach out to me on Facebook, on WhatsApp. You would all have it. There is no rule of joining the WhatsApp platform. And and if you have follow-up questions, please ask us. We would want to invite Damba, so I'll check in with him again. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we're going to communicate when we would have Damba on board, so that we can have the part 2 of this. And I can assure you, it's going to be another explosive moment. Thank you all for your time. And again, Damba, I'm so grateful for your time. I deeply appreciate every of your input and contribution on this. And for now, we would need to end the section. Thank you all, and do have a great week ahead.